Marco Rubio, nominated by President-elect Donald Trump for the successor to the U.S. Secretary of State. So who is he? Born into a non-class Cuban immigrant family in Miami, this guy hustled his way into the University of Florida and won a scholarship based on his special athletic talent for football. He snagged a bachelor's degree in political science and then leveled up with a doctorate degree in laws, setting the stage for his climb into politics. Rubio's experience sounds like a classic American dream story, with a background in political and law, which resembles pretty much the standard playbook for Western politicians. By 2005, he made history as the first Cuban American to become Speaker of the Florida House of Representatives. In 2015, Rubio announced his candidacy for president, but in 2016, he faced a defeat to Trump in his own home state of Florida and withdrew. Despite losing his presidential bid, Rubio has long been branded as a young Tea Party rising star and ambassador of the lower class.
Oh God, please, no! No!
On paper, his resume paints a picture of the rare political talent. But do you really know this man behind the titles?
Show me what's in there, come on.
Even though his parents fled Cuba in 1956 because his grandfather acted as stooges for Batista's regime and were forced to escape from Cuban Revolution as undocumented refugees, Rubio has repeatedly misled the public in his speeches, claiming his parents left Cuba in 1959 and were legal immigrants granted asylum in the U.S. It wasn't until 2011 that his lie was exposed by the Washington Post, yet it seemed to have no impact on his political career whatsoever.
Are you fucking shitting me?
Despite the fact that the majority of his political support came from the Latino community, Rubio has maintained an extreme anti-Cuban stance. In the end, these minority politicians who made it to the top often win favor with financial backers by betraying their own communities and using their own people as a stepping stone. During the 2016 presidential race, Rubio engaged in the public spat with Trump.
I don't know what I said. I don't remember.
Escalating from accusations of being a fraud to personal attacks, questioning each other's manhood. But as soon as he was abandoned by his financial backers, the Bush family, Rubio quickly shifted gears, using anti-China slurs to gain political support. Shortly after, he eagerly rode Trump's coattails to consolidate his political status. With Trump's backing, in 2016, Rubio pushed through high-level official visits between Taiwan region and the U.S.
That said, one of the things that's been most egregious is how they have worked so hard to keep Taiwan out of the World Health Organization.
So it's my fault?
Leading to the passage of the Taiwan Travel Act. That same year, he called for legal actions against the Chinese telecommunication company ZTE on national security grounds. He also urged his home state of Florida to shut down its Confucius Institute programs. In 2019, Rubio proposed and pushed for the passage of the Hong Kong Human Rights and Democracy Act, followed by the Uyghur Human Rights Policy Act in 2020 and the Secure Equipment Act in 2021.
Oh fuck, not again. Dang it!
It seems that Rubio really puts in the effort, landing on China's sanction list against US officials in 2020. In fact, the real reason behind such an opportunist anti-China stance is an American first rhetoric he espouses. It's that being anti-China brings in personal gains, whether financial or political. And from the looks of it, he really reaped those rewards. But such victories are fleeting. Any statesman with a long-term vision would never sacrifice decades of their political career for short-term gains. However, as a career politician, one might quickly seek to capture public attention while empowered to pave the way for future success through the revolving door. This is a fundamental difference between a politician and a statesman. So for Rubio, can his political life truly unfold as he hopes? Although Trump has won the election, he has not yet fully seized power. During the transition between administrations, he will undoubtedly face numerous obstacles. Trump is talking a big game about fixing the Ukraine crisis through diplomacy and stabilizing the Middle East, all while making bold promises to his financial backers. And here comes Rubio, an anti-China activist, as Secretary of State, has floated plans of imposing new tariffs on Chinese goods. The message is clear. Once the situation in Ukraine and the Middle East are under control, his administration would take a hardline approach against China. Trump's intentions toward China are crystal clear, and Beijing isn't sitting idle. In response, China's National Development and Reform Commission has repeatedly emphasized the need to construct an internal circulation dominated by domestic demand. The aim is equally transparent. If the US imposes additional tariffs on Chinese goods, China plans to reduce its reliance on international markets by tapping into massive domestic consumer base. Meanwhile, China has introduced a series of economic stimulus policies which are far from maxed out. They are being calibrated based on the future Trump administration stance.
I don't know anymore, I'm tired.
The position of the US Secretary of State is officially seen as highly important. In reality, all of his political actions are not motivated by any particular ideology, but by political interest. The Secretary of State enjoying both fame and fortune at a time when inflation in the US is rising and continues escalating tensions with China and prolonging the trade war, which does not benefit the country's national interest but only increases the burden on its people. However, to consolidate his political power, Rubio continued to push anti-China rhetoric, ignoring the country's well-being. Outwardly, Rubio is an ultra-hawk emerging from Congress. He's more of a political parrot for Trump, easily manipulated.
You can't handle the truth!
Whether it's on issues in the Western Pacific region or the Russia-Ukraine conflict, Rubio can be a tool in advancing Trump's objectives. It's worth noting the ignominious fate of the former Secretary of State Mike Pompeo, who was placed on China's sanction list as well. Coincidentally, Rubio also finds himself in the same list.
Oh, don't cry, are you?
When Pompeo was firstly sanctioned by China, he didn't seem too bothered by it. After all, the revolving door in the US politics is a public fact. And even after stepping down as Secretary of State, Pompeo had already found a fallback position at Koch. However, he didn't anticipate just how damaging China's sanctions would be, especially the part about their affiliates and institutions have been restricted from engaging in business or dealing with China. He went from having a cushy job with a monthly salary of nearly $100,000 to being in the position where no ambitious multinational company would hire him.
Will this horrible year never end?
Eventually, he was forced to work as a researcher for a $6,000 salary job at a US think tank. After waiting for Trump to make his comeback, he eagerly rushed back, hoping that Trump would overlook their old conflicts as he had done his part for Trump. But Trump, while pleasantly accepting Pompeo's show of loyalty, shattered him on November 10th by publicly announcing on social media that he would not be inviting former Secretary of State Mike Pompeo to join his administration.
Yeah, no, I don't take responsibility at all.
There are too many politicians who are eager to climb the ranks in the US, like a virus infecting the system. Today it's Pompeo, tomorrow it could be Rubio. There's no shortage of puppets. They care only about their own gain, even if it means sacrificing the interest of their motherland, dragging the nation down with them. To borrow a quote from the New York Times about Pompeo, selfishness at the expense of national interest is not a hallmark of a respectable diplomat or patriot. Trump treated Pompeo the same way he could treat Rubio tomorrow. If Rubio ever becomes too tarnished or useless, who's to say Trump wouldn't just swap him out for new Secretary of State?